Now we're going to talk about privacy concerns. With the growth of social media, online privacy is a major concern for many users. The popularity of social media and the internet has also raised concerns about privacy and security. So, privacy issues are becoming more and more important. Personal privacy concerns refer to the fear that one's personal information will be collected by others and cannot be fully protected, not in 100%. Believe that people who are more concerned about the improper use of personal information will engage in privacy protection behaviors. Wright and Logal in 2018 mentioned that as users continue to share personal information more often, privacy concerns will become their primary consideration when using social media and applications. So, what about privacy concerns are one of the components of fatigue? We often tend to think that what would happen if I include my information in social media? What would happen if I include my information on the internet? And once you get in, you cannot get out. At least not that easily. Everything gets storage, everything creates data, everything is data. So once you get in, other people will start collecting your data with their own privacy policies. So they're going now to manage your information. You don't have enough control once you do that. And once you do that, they decide what to do with your data as long as they do use their services or products. And that could lead to some kind of fatigue of not knowing what other people are doing with your information. Otherwise, you still want to go ahead and engage with people in social media. People with high social media self efficacy tend to perceive that helpfulness of social media, and at the same time, they might become more and more aware of privacy concerns based on that, leading to social media fatigue. Users of social media may worry about the impact of their disclosure of their reputation in social media, leading to fatigue. We also found that Brian Logan, they discovered that people who are highly concerned about privacy are prone to social media fatigue. According to past studies, high levels of privacy concerns consume social media users' cognition and may translate into fatigue. Therefore, this is a hypothesis. Privacy concerns are positively related to social media fatigue. Have you ever tried and be like fully conscious of your present moment for an entire day? It's exhausting. It's exhausting at the point that you even feel the load on your brain. This happens with a virtual world with some people that every time they want to engage or create a new account during a new social service or network, they worry about what they're going to do. So they know that if they accept being part of it, they might benefit from it, but they also need to give something in exchange. That will be their information. So it's like a constant battle when people get too aware of, oh, I'm not only here like engaging or just connecting with people. I'm actively giving part of myself, part with my information, giving my information away in order to do that. So everybody can track me. Part of it, that's true. But imagine feeling that every time that you post something, every time that you pull up a story, every time you just like, even you liking something, you are being part of the network and someone else can track you. And that concerns me for not only like for in the corporate side, like what are they going to do with my information? But it is also about the personal aspect and privacy concerns. Personal data have been protected legally since the first negative impacts on individuals arose. Consequently, processing of personal data is regulated and protection of personal data has become a fundamental right, either from a right to privacy perspective or as a separately formulated right to protection of personal data. This means that when personal data are processed, it interferes with the fundamental right of a person and needs to be adequately protected and justified. The choice of data source and mode of data collection do not interfere with these fundamental rights. There are a variety of legal data protection requirements that need to be considered in processing of personal data for research, for example. The first element to consider is whether the information constitutes personal data or not, and this will ultimately determine whether data protection laws need to be applied. Personal data are essentially any piece of information that relates to an identified or unidentifiable natural person. This means that any data that is not clearly anonymized may constitute personal data. To determine whether a set of data constitutes personal data, it is important to consider whether the data can be used to distinguish a person. If a person can be distinguished from others and recognized as an individual, for example, through a unique identifier, the set of data should be considered personal data. Without even inquiring about the name and address of the individual, it is possible to categorize this person on the basis of socioeconomic, psychological, physiological, or other criteria and attribute certain decisions to him or the person itself, since the individual's contact point, this could be a phone or computer, etc., no longer requires the disclosure of their identity in the narrow sense. Even when data set is pseudonymized, which means the identify of a person and the set of information are kept technically separate so that it is not possible to identify an individual directly. Those data are still considered personal data. This applies also when data from another controller need to be used for re-identification. Consequently, when data used in conservation science contain data that are attributable to an individual person that may be recognized or even identified, it needs to be considered personal data and thus the rules of GDPR apply. This is the case irrespective of the source of the information, which means that even if the data were collected from publicly available sources, such as public social media channels, data protection laws need to be applied in full. Another level or relevant element for processing of research data is the sensitivity and classification of data. The European Union data protection law distinguishes among three categories: anonymized and non-personal data, personal data, and special categories of personal data. Although anonymized data fall out of the scope of protection, which means research can be done without considering European data protection laws, special categories of personal data can be processed only if that is explicitly allowed in the GDPR, and it requires additional safeguards and control mechanisms. So we can say that social media is an integral part of daily life globally, affecting how many people communicate, share information, and connect. More than a billion users are active on social media. These sites enable people to communicate with others, discover like-minded people, and participate in discussions and debates about different subjects. Businesses increasingly use social media as a tool for marketing, as we mentioned in one of the videos in the past, consumer interaction, and sales. Shopping on social media is anticipated and also important. As such, using social media is an important and impactful area for research. However, social media imposes privacy concerns. Users generate massive amounts of data daily through content sharing and providing personal information to be able to access to other people. Social media platforms glean much user data that is not directly provided by users, including browsing history, network data, and online activities. Privacy and security concerns are raised by third party businesses. Raised, they said, that obtain such data to deliver tailored services. Data breaches are rising, and incidents like the Cambridge Analytica case have highlighted the need for privacy protection and laws. Users have expressed privacy concerns about potential threats from other social media users, as well as from regulators due to regulatory frameworks and government surveillance. Some studies have been conducted to better understand users' privacy concerns in social media. However, much research focuses on Western contexts. Prior studies on social media have discovered that privacy concerns change by country. According to Big and Morimoto in 2012, personalized advertising is a form of a promotional message sent to consumers through pay media, which is arranged based on personal information such as usernames, purchase history, psychographic aspects, location, and user lifestyle. So each user can receive different advertisements because marketers compile advertisements and deliver advertisements that are very relevant to the current location and environment around each consumer. Thus, personalized advertising has advantage when compared to the advertisements in other media, such as being easily accessible to users. I think we can recall different types of it, like 5 second ads, or even just scrolling down and having this type of just like image, t- an ad in the form of an image or a short video. We see that often. So this has advantages when compared to advertisements in other media, such as being easily accessible to users. And with time, it's going to be more and more and more accessible to everybody. Even though it has various positive advantages, the effectiveness of personalized advertising in the context of social media has not provided sufficient evidence because it has not been widely studied, don't you think? So, empirical research that pursues insights into the moderating effect of privacy concerns on the relationships between personalization and cognitive and effective factors is needed. The level of privacy concerns can affect the evolution of subjective norms. The higher the level of consumer privacy concerns has a negative moderating effect on repurchase intentions, and consumers who have low privacy concerns can have positive moderating effect to repurchase intentions and have an effect on increasing consumer satisfaction. There was a literature review related to personalized advertising seen from various perspectives of consumers, marketers, and also discussed the outcomes of advertising personalization, such as consumer responses from various studies in different contexts. The results of this study state that consumer perceptions, knowledge, and responses to personalized advertising can change over time in accordance with development of technology. So, it is very necessary to do research related to personalized advertising with various research methods. Ehrman et al. In 2017 also stated that in the current big data era, research related to the use of data, in this case, is personalized advertising, is actually very important for various parties and marketers, consumers, researchers, and policies as well. However, research related to how consumers' perceptions of personalized advertising is still limited. So this study fills the gaps of previous studies that have inconsistent results and overcomes the limitation of previous studies by examining privacy concerns as a moderating variable in different contexts. Social media is considered to be one of the greatest environments in which users interact with each other. This is also used by marketers in promoting their products to target consumers, and certainly this requires a large cost. One of the paid media and marketing products is using personalized advertising. There are various definitions of personalized and called different names but with the same definition. There are online behavioral advertising, targeting, customized advertising, personalized, or online profiling. So I think this can actually leverage to an open debate and, of course, a lot deeper and deeper into this subject because these social media privacy concerns can be, of course, leading into the personal usage between the main users itself, but then we open like a big door that is the privacy within big corporations in the marketing sphere. When we talk about pay me advertisement, other variety of laws can enter the door different from the particular ones each person has. As personal usage of data without having any intention of selling or any intention of acquiring leads. When it's like natural performance or organic performance, it could be less massive, but also without any clear intention in the back. No usage of information for professional or also selling purposes can be investigated in a deeper way, depending on the social media platform that is often used. One example could be LinkedIn. LinkedIn nowadays is just a platform where people, even the posts, there are like a lot of selling intention behind the post, even particular ones. So for me, it's very interesting seeing like all these posts about people trying to search, of course, corporate related goals, or when they want to personalize to make it more unique, they put something they lift on a daily basis and then just trying to link that again as a corporate goal or corporate perspective type of view, which is funny, but at the same time is a reality. Do you think that other social medias are going to be going into the same route as LinkedIn? Or do you think that the current social medias that we have, each one of them are like very, very different from each other? I would like to know your point of view. Perhaps in the next video, I'm going to be talking about or talking a bit more about the marketing aspect of the privacy usage in social media networks, if you like. and also opening the door to other sub areas of the privacy concerns main topic of today, because this isn't over, and since the internet was created, this just continued to have like more and more roots. So have you ever wondering where your information is going to? Let me know.